Greetings all. Chuke here from Chuke's Outdoor Adventures. Welcome to High Strangeness in Alaska. Both the Bigfoot studies and general paranormal investigations. This is our Halloween special. So I got a special show for you tonight. Shout out to all the viewers. Got Joe Mo out there. Lots of viewers that are tuning in every Sunday morning for your Sunday morning Bigfoot Chuke cartoon madness, and I really appreciate it. I'm really having a blast with this. It's been, oh boy, 4 straight months of this. Every Sunday in a row, I haven't missed one. So we got a good Halloween special for you today. We're going to talk about some creepy stories and even have some guests with some creepy stories. So, of course, Rob Roy Menzies in Palmer, Alaska with the Bigfoot Art Gallery, and then Baxter down on the Kenai Peninsula. He's an author and Bigfoot researcher, and I'm having a blast interacting with these guys. They're a lot of fun. It still has not snowed. We had just about a full moon. It looks like a full moon to me, which is pretty creepy because it's almost Halloween. You can see the moon right above me through the trees. What a spooky night. I love that it has not snowed yet. Usually by now, end of October, we have 6 inches of snow on the ground, and this year we just don't. We're getting a little bit late winter, and I'm super happy about it. It's nice being under the tree canopy. Even in the winter, you can find little patches of green grass and green moss under the tree canopy, and the tree canopy is creepy. I'm not going to lie. I am armed, and don't want to be starting a forest fire out here. But I'm still waiting for my silver bullets to get back from the jeweler. They're filling some hollow points with these pointed pure silver inserts. So I'm going to be able to have a revolver with silver bullets. But somebody pointed out, I think on last week's episode in the comments, I appreciate it, that copper also has some protective attributes. So all those extreme penetrators with the copper alloy that I use, I'll load up as many of the silver bullets as I can afford. They're pretty spendy. And then the rest in that 7-round cylinder will be copper. So I am excited for that. And you got to protect yourself. So we're going to have creepy, spooky stories from Rob Roy and Baxter. But I do want to share some of the creepiest stories I have heard. And there are a lot of creepy stories up here. I think the hairy man in Western Alaska is some of the creepiest stuff I've ever heard with the, somebody, Patrick was telling me that a Bigfoot ripped a dog in half. That's creepy. Myself, I've had an encounter with, I can only explain it as I think it was more of a dog man. I thought it was like this cat-like creature when I was out hunting in the mountains, and it had these big ears, but it haunched down like a predator and looking at me like that with its shoulders moving. Nothing in the deer family moves like that. So that was just really odd. So thinking about the creepiest story that I have ever heard would have to be in my 4 or 5 years I spent in New Mexico. It is literally called the Land of Enchantment, and the stories there are extremely creepy. It's literally an enchanted land. It's full of wonder. The entire Four Corners area, they call it, with the 4 corners of the state and the Southwest there. That whole area is just super creepy, and just lots of paranormal stuff, UFOs, strange creatures, all kinds of stuff going on there. I did see some UFOs when I was in New Mexico, but probably the craziest stories I had definitely heard that were scary you can't even talk about, because I had a lot of friends that were of the Navajo and Pueblo tribes down there, and I won't even say the word because they instructed me, don't whistle at night and don't talk about these things. So it rhymes with S in the front, and then talker is the creature that you don't want to talk about at night. And I always treat anybody with respect. My friends told me that down there, because even if some homeless person you know, looks like they're just a ragged homeless person and you disrespect them, you don't know what weird ability, shape-shifting power they may have. And they may come after you in some form. And it's the stories I've heard were just mind-blowing. We would drive to the northern mountains of Arizona and just see these caves up in the cliffs, and that was reportedly where some of these creatures lived. And one story I heard from a Navajo buddy of mine was not related to that particular set. It was more of like a hairy man, not a transformative creature, which is super scary. And that's why I'm getting silver bullets, because of these transforming creatures. But I don't even want to talk about that. I'm not supposed to at night, so let's skip over that. But this was more of like a weird Sasquatch cannibal story. Now, this was from his local area, kind of around Shiprock, New Mexico, and it was just back in the day. It was somewhere in the last 100 years. He heard a story about there was this little town. It was an outskirt of a village, and women were being kidnapped. And that's what's so terrifying about it, is there was this hairy man creature that he just described as like a big, giant, hairy, more of a human than ape-like person that was just like a wild man cannibal, but not pure human. He was a lot bigger than your normal human and had more hair, fangs, just like a wild man, but not like, I don't know, he described it as more humanoid than ape. So really interesting. But anyways, the tribe realized that it had some kind of supernatural power. So this guy's wife was taken by one of these creatures, and so the tribe, they did a ceremony. They used some tobacco to kind of protect themselves, and then they went out hunting it, and they found it in the rock walls and caves, like I was describing, like those red rock caves I had seen in Arizona. And they found a cave that had human bones all around, and there was the guy's wife there, and then it was a battle with this big hairy man, and they ended up killing it, shooting it with rifles, and it died. But they had to kind of protect themselves with kind of like their spiritual power in order to not succumb to its power. And then they were able to kill it with conventional rifles. I think both is good. But that was as much of the story as I can remember. But I'm getting creeped out just being out here. And I do want to get along with, let's listen to Rob Roy Menzies' creepy story, and then a creepy story from Beans Baxter.
Perfect. All right. Well, I am back at the Bigfoot Art Gallery with Rob Roy Menzies, and he's always getting new stories. People come in here and just hang out for hours and talk. Tell us a little bit about the shop.
Oh, well, my gallery here, we do custom matting and framing. The gallery itself has been in Palmer doing matting and framing for 40 years, which is amazing. I bought it 4 years ago, and all I did was change the name to Bigfoot Art Gallery and continued the matting and framing business here in Palmer, but added the Bigfoot element to the whole Mat-Su Valley. And I also get to sell my own art, which is a big thing for me. And I sell guitars too, which it's rather unusual, but it works. But being the Bigfoot Art Gallery, of course, that opens the door to all kinds of people come in and just spill the beans to me.
Right.
So I get to hear some pretty interesting stories. I do. I call it a benefit of owning the business. So.
Well, speaking of stories, I just got Beans Baxter's one of his creepiest stories, and since it's Halloween, I wanted to hear one of the creepiest stories that you've ever heard. What's your creepiest story?
Well, I think we talked about one of the creepiest stories. I think it was total Halloween story. Mm-hmm. The other one I would say involves it was more of a ghost story actually, but I know the two guys that were involved, and I heard it from the mouth of the one gentleman. Two of them are my friends now. It goes like this. You know, we were young, and when we were young, you had friends that drank and drove, and some of them would unfortunately crash and lose their lives. So this is one of those stories. So this kid, our friend, lost his life, and a couple of my other friends were out there the week after, kind of talking about him and kind of paying homage to him. They're right in the same area where he died in a horrible car accident, and they were both sitting in the car doing what young teenagers do, and all of a sudden, on the window.
Creepy.
And they both looked at the window expecting to see someone, like an officer or one of their buddies standing there, you know, going, hey, dude, you know. Nobody was there. And they're like, what? They both got out of the car and walked around the car and looked. Nothing. They didn't see anybody, nothing. There's no other cars around. They're like, I don't know. They get in. A couple minutes later, same thing. On the window. They look, nobody's there. They get out, they look around. I think it happened like one more time, and they both realized that, hey, they kind of openly thought, is this so-and-so
Right.
saying hello to us? And they didn't really get any response or anything like that, but it was the whole window knocking thing, which is kind of creepy to me.
Yeah.
But that was in Juneau. You know, let's see, what else is there besides that? You know, if I wouldn't have told you the one story,
You can retell it. That was a creepy story.
that is the guys at the end of Montana Creek Road shooting guns, and they were all sitting around, I don't know, 10, 12. It was a lot. We used to go out there. It was a great place for us guys to go out and not be harassed by police. It was a different time. So these guys were heavily armed, shooting guns, having fun, drinking, you know, they were taking a pause, they're all talking. It was very dark. And from the darkness of the woods, kind of in these trees, and everything's dark, you can't see anything, came the sound. Now the sound was always mimicked to me by one of the eyewitnesses, and he did it like this.
Oh,
Like a huge deep breath.
That's
And they all shut up and they looked, and they're like, what was that? And it did it again. And a couple of them started yelling, you better knock it off. We all got guns. And it did it again. And they said, you better knock it off. And I think it did it again. And they all just started cutting loose on it, just shooting into that area. They stopped, and silence. You know, after a whole bunch of rounds are fired, it's that kind of ringing, and then something, they said, and I said, what? And what do you mean? And they said, something just shot up out of the trees and flew off into the sky. And I said, what do you mean? And they said, it's just like a big shadow.
wow.
They couldn't see definition. It just, that's kind of a creepy story. I don't know what it is, or what it was, or what it's supposed to be. I don't know.
You know,
But it was pretty creepy.
That's really creepy. It reminds me of my friend's Bigfoot story from Oregon, and he said it was like a black shadow moving that looked like it had a cloak on. That was just
Oh,
pure
wow.
black. So
Huh.
really creepy.
Yeah. But there's other stories I just can't recall. But those are kind of the top creepy ones that I've been personally told.
Right.
Which I love the creepy stories. You know, I've heard a couple ghost stories. I've heard that orb story, which is, it's not necessarily it's kind of creepy because you know, the customer of mine told me that when she was a little girl sleeping in her bedroom, the 3 orbs, she woke up and there were 3 orbs, literally like a foot away from her, and they were, I believe she said they were all 3 different colors.
Wow.
And they just sat there
Glowing?
glowing.
Wow.
And she screamed. Her mom came in the bedroom, and I think they disappeared. I don't know what happened to them. Mom came in. She told the mom what happened, and she said, no, that's just lights from the highway, the car lights from the highway. You know, and the little girl didn't buy that at all. But she was like, okay, whatever. So fast forward 25 years down the road, the daughter was telling this story, and the mom was there. And the mom stops her and says, oh, I remember that. She said, I saw those lights.
Wow.
And the daughter said, what? And she said, yes, they came in through the kitchen and they went into your bedroom. and I saw them, but I didn't want to tell you to scare you.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
that's a kind of a creepy orb story.
Was that here in Alaska?
No, I think she was in the lower 48 somewhere.
Okay.
I don't think it was
Interesting.
here, but that was a very cool story. And this is a customer I did not expect to hear her say anything like this at all. But that was a good one.
Yeah. So you've been an investigator for a while. What's some of the creepiest? What's the creepiest story you can tell me related to cryptid or paranormal stuff?
So the creepiest thing that's ever happened to me. This didn't happen in Alaska. It actually happened in Eastern Washington. This is one of the reasons why I go back there quite a bit to research. Even though I have Alaska here, I can research here anytime I want. But I keep going back there because of this event. I was there filming a documentary with Steven, the same guy I did the Port Chatham documentary with, and some others. And we were in this area where a gentleman, a researcher there named Will Ulmer had taken us, and we got there and it was just like we're unloading the vehicle at the campsite, and there's like knocks and stuff going. I mean, it was it was super. It was crazy. It was impressive.
Yeah. Like they were communicating back and forth.
And we were there for I don't know, 3 or 4 days. It was the last day, and we kept having all this. We kept hearing all this crazy vocals and tree knocks.
Wow.
But it was the last day. We were leaving the next day. It was the last night, I should say. And we had gone for a walk up this old logging road, and I was getting kind of disappointed because my goal, I want to see one. You know, that's my ultimate goal, is I want to lay eyes on one. I want to know for a fact 100% that they're real. And we're walking up this logging road, and I'm kind of disappointed because I haven't seen anything yet. You know, I've heard a lot of really great stuff, like stuff that a lot of Bigfooters would probably just be like, oh, you know, this is the mother lode, but, you know, I'm not happy. I want to see something.
Yeah.
And so we get to a point where we've gone as far as we can go. We're going to turn around. So I have to use the bathroom. And I tell the rest of there's 4 other people in the group. And I tell them, you know, go ahead a little bit. I'm going to catch up. Not thinking, of course, this is exactly how like every missing 411 report goes. I want to see something, you know. I'm not thinking about anything bad happening. I'm thinking like, well, if something's following us, maybe it'll catch up with me, or you know, I'll catch it. So you know, I wait a few minutes. I use the restroom. You know, I take a leak on the side of the little logging road there. And then I'm just kind of waiting, letting the group get, you know, they're already out of sight. They kind of went around the bend, and I can't see them or hear them anymore. And a couple of minutes goes by, and I've got my thermal camera out, and I'm standing on the edge of the road with my back to the wood line, and I'm scanning with my thermal on the other side. And I hear behind me, I mean, it sounds like it's feet behind me. I just hear this, sounds like a whisper. I couldn't make it out what it said. It was 4 or 5 syllables probably, just, and immediately, you know, I whip around, I look, I don't see anything. I'm therming, I don't see anything.
Wow.
And just fear.
Yeah.
And you know, I've been in the military, I've been in law enforcement. I'm not, you know, I'm not bragging, but I've been in situations where I thought, oh, you know, this could be it, you know, like I could be, the beans could be done, you know, like this person means to do me bodily harm. But this was different. It was just a fear.
Yeah.
Just unadulterated fear. And the only thing, I mean, maybe just because I didn't know what I was afraid of.
Yeah.
I mean, usually, you know, if a person's coming at me with a weapon, or I kind of, as a police officer, generally, you kind of know what kind of situation you're walking into. But this was just fear. And I looked, I didn't see anything. I thermed, I didn't see anything. Hindsight being 2020, I wish I had looked up into the tree. I didn't.
Yeah.
But it sounded like it was just like at ear level behind me a few feet.
Right.
I turned around. You know, started walking quickly to catch up with the group. Didn't run, but tried to walk quickly back to the group. I'm trying to rationalize like what, because I did have a backpack on. I'm like, well, maybe I had a water bottle back there and some air was escaping. You know, like I'm trying to rationalize this. Like, what was that? And even I eventually caught up with the rest of the guys, and you know, I even went through my pack and was, you know, squeezing my water bottle and stuff.
Yeah.
Could not replicate the sound. Don't know what it was. Still just scared.
Yeah.
I get back to the campsite, just scared. And it's starting to get dark. And if somebody had been like, hey guys, let's pack up now and go, you know, leave early, I'd have been, I'll pay for the hotels. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
I was ready to go. Everybody else was kind of laissez-faire, but Will Ulmer, he also was kind of like, yeah, I kind of feel like something's going to happen, which didn't help my frame of mind at all.
Right.
So everybody eventually kind of goes to bed, and me and Will sit up around the campfire with our guns. And I just had this terrible, irrational fear that these Bigfoot were just going to come over that hill.
Right.
Again, here we see, you know, campsite or cabin, and then a hill where the activity's taking place,
Right.
you know, like some other places we've talked about. And I'm just sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, you know, they're going to come get us. They're going to come get us, you know. And Will and I sat around the fire, kept it going. Will had a shotgun, I had my pistol. And then about 3 o'clock in the morning, we hear this boom. It wasn't a gunshot. It wasn't a tree knock. It was a loud boom.
Wow.
And it was just like somebody flipped a switch. And I looked over at Will and I was like, huh, I don't feel creeped out anymore. I mean, it was almost like somebody turned my fear off. And I went to bed and got some sleep. It was about 3 o'clock in the morning. I had to get up. I think we got up at like 6 or 7 and drove back into Spokane. But most unexplainable thing that's ever happened to me. Cannot figure it out.
Interesting. So you don't really have any theories of what it could have been?
Well, I mean, you hear about people saying they got zapped or infrasound or something like that. I don't know. I don't know if it was that. I don't know if it was my reaction to an irrational thing that happened. I mean, I heard something. I couldn't explain it. You know, I'm not Grizzly Adams. I don't know what every animal in the woods is.
Right.
But generally, I can be, oh, well, that's, you know, that's a canine, or that's a feline, or that's a bear, or a moose. You know, I can usually, at least, most of the things I hear, I can categorize. And this was just, I had no reference for it. And then the fear happened. And again, like I said, I don't know if it was just you know, like, I don't know what I'm scared of, so I'm scared, like, even more. But again, like I said, man, I've been in so many situations where most normal people would piss their pants, you know, weapons pulled on me, you know, in the room with murderers, stuff like that. And never before have I been scared like that.
Wow. Creepy. Well, thankfully I haven't had any experiences like that so far that bad, but thanks for sharing, and everybody check out the Lasquatch podcast, and I'll throw a link up there to his channel. So there you have it, a few creepy stories for you. I hope everyone has an awesome spooky Halloween, and remember to keep yourself safe. Always have a means of protecting yourself. Pocket knives, fixed blade knives, I'm a big fan of. Burn sage, carry salt on you, copper and silver, and I can't wait to get those silver bullets. So a lot of unexplained weird stuff out there, and I'm having a blast just doing these investigations. And there's going to be another video next Sunday, and we're even going to go back out to Sasquatch Bay and kind of lock it up for the winter. Luckily, we've got a window of warm weather right now. Really strange, kind of warm, late fall, early winter. So I am going to have a couple more investigation videos coming up, and keep tuning in. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you next Sunday.